It's sweet. It's salty.
Police department, search warrant! Police department, search warrant! Coming through, fire! Go! Police department! Search warrant! Get down! Get down here! With you!
These videos are satiric reviews. You don't have to agree, but don't bitch about it.
Hey there, I'm Social Injustice Warrior V Infuso, and welcome back to the series in which we go through the Kingdom Hearts games in chronological order. For the most part. And today we're taking a look back at Kingdom Hearts 358 over 2 days. I'm sorry if that was a little confusing, but let's face it, this is Kingdom Hearts. It's always confusing. 358 over 2, or as I'll just be calling it, days, follows Kingdom Hearts Chain of Memories, both chronologically and also in the sense that it too got a remaster for the PlayStation. Unlike Kingdom Hearts Chain of Memories, its remaster doesn't have any real gameplay to talk about. It only consists of cutscenes and text, mainly because A, they needed more space on the disc considering it contains several other Kingdom Hearts games, and more importantly B, because of how reviled it was when it first came out. And take a look at this footage. Does it really look like something you'd want to play? Does that just scream at you something that you want to get your hands on? And I mean the game itself. I'm not talking about the creator because you want to strangle him because you spent money on this shit. Luckily, I wasn't one of those people. I just feel for them. The game movie starts off with that kid from the end of Chain of Memories, in the midst of the first game.
Pitiful, heartless, mindlessly collecting hearts. The Keyblade releases those hearts. They gather in darkness until they weave together to make Kingdom Hearts. And when that time comes, we can truly, finally exist.
Because it's all part of the plan.
Alright, this just started and already I got questions. 1, why are y'all just sitting on top of a clock tower like it's something to do? I mean, you just talked about existing. This is a surefire way to make sure you no longer exist in any capacity. And 2, how much older is Axel than Roxas? Because, you know, there's something about watching what seems to be a 20-something-year-old share an ice cream with a prepubescent that, I don't know, it just doesn't sit right for me. And you know what? The dialogue doesn't help either.
Seriously, where is she?
Almost immediately, Roxas, this Jesse McCartney-sounding twat with the standard 2006 MySpace haircut, who somehow is able to wield the Keyblade, immediately Roxas explains the premise of the game, and the whole days gimmick.
Today makes 255.
What's that about?
It's been that many days since I first joined the organization.
Following this, Axel decides to put over his own gimmick.
So, you got the number memorized, do you?
And look, it was catchy in Chain of Memories, and even later in Kingdom Hearts 2. But here it's like listening to the same song for months at a time on repeat. And the rest of this conversation is just a failed attempt at casual exposition.
You're still kind of a zombie.
Oh, thanks.
And now all those other DeviantArt pages and fanfictions make a hell of a lot more sense now. We flash back to his 7th day in the organization, over 200 days prior, and we see the organization in its entirety.
Good tidings, friends.
Together. And hoodless, nonetheless. It's a bunch of memorable faces and a few new ones, including its leader, who may look a little familiar. More on that later.
Number 14.
And wait, no, wait. If your organization 13, then wouldn't having a number 14, a 14th member, wouldn't that just be kind of counterproductive? Day 8. Axel is chosen to mentor Roxas, who shows interest in the organization's number 14.
Number 14. Shion.
Got it memorized, Roxas?
Then we're treated to these lame freeze frames with text to explain what happened during the gameplay. Again, here's what it is that you're missing, and I'm not really gonna bother to explain each of these non-cutscenes because it's basically the same thing almost every time. Roxas completed a new mission! Lead into the next scene.
Sea salt ice cream. I already told you before. Get it memorized.
Shut up! This game just started and already I'm tired of it. Stop it. Get a better gimmick. Now that I think about it, that wasn't even your line in the original Game Boy Advance game. Commit that to memory. Jerk off. Day 9. Text. Must have been really important if they decided not to reanimate it. Followed by narration.
The organization defeats the heartless in order to collect hearts.
During the course of Day 9 through Day 13, Roxas, everyone's favorite amnesiac, is filled in on everything we, the audience, have already learned in previous games. On Day 14, Roxas sees some kids run by him, and begins to question why his existence is so much different than theirs. That's it. Day 15 through 21. All mission-based, and now I'm only just now realizing I'm not going to be able to do the entire review like this. It's going to get too boring, too fast. And that's already going to be a problem. Day 22. Axel and Roxas sit on the edge of the Twilight Town clock tower as Axel tells him he'll be away at Castle Oblivion, the organization's second castle. And wait, y'all own 2 castles? This is the only universe where being a nobody pays. Hook a dude up. Alright, I'm a nobody. I want a castle. Axel exclaims that he'll be at Castle Oblivion for a few days. This obviously taking place during the events of Chain of Memories. On Day 23, we learn through Sayax. On Day 23, we learn through Sayax. On Day 23, we learn through whatever his name is, that Xemnas, the organization's leader, was well aware of Marluxia's deception, and sent Axel there to take care of the traitors himself.
I trust that really came from Lord Xemnas himself.
If you're looking for Axel, he's gone.
What do I do with this?
Turn that sumbitch sideways and stick it straight up. You can do it.
During Day 24, Roxas heads to the organization's lounge room to find his coworkers pretty much doing what coworkers do when they're on break. Just sitting back and shooting the shit. After going on a mission with Zion,
I'm talking about Shion, kiddo.
she finally breaks her silence and it immediately triggers his apparent PTSD.
Roxas.
Roxas.
The next day, Shion, who's now gone from silent, enigmatic, hooded figure to a peppy, seemingly sweet girl in a hoodie in mere minutes, wishes Roxas the best of luck.
In all his future endeavors.
Somehow he winds up getting into a battle with a reoccurring baddie Darkseid, and Shion, using her Keyblade, comes to his defense. But wait a second!
There can't be 2 Keyblade Masters.
Shion, I didn't know you could use the Keyblade.
Neither did I.
It's then he invites her to the top of the clock tower. And hey, easy there, guy. You ever wonder how Axel would feel about Shion joining the He-Man Woman Haters Club? They share an ice cream and...
Oh, they fucking what?
On Day 26, Roxas is informed that Axel has disappeared. Which, I guess, is the series' version of death. You know, think of what the American dub did to Yu-Gi-Oh! With the Shadow Realm. Oh yeah, that's right. Those characters, they weren't sent to Shadow Realm. They died. They dead. Although disappearing is a really interesting way of describing death here, because how can you watch this, Vexen's death, and say that he disappeared? He was set on fire! Later that day in Agrabah, for some reason, I don't know, these cutscenes don't give me information, Roxas is informed by Xigbar about what happens to the hearts of the heartless. And that sentence just puts the moron in oxymoron. He asks what happens to a nobody, and in turn is told, nothing. Because they're simply not meant to exist in the first place. Just as he's about to leave the world, he falls to his knees and gains a massive migraine. Much like the people, like me, who are desperately trying to follow this story. On Day 27, the secret ending of Kingdom Hearts apparently takes place. And we find the identities of the 2 hooded figures are none other than Roxas and organization leader Xemnas.
I've been to see him. He looks a lot like you.
Who are you?
I'm what's left. Or maybe I'm all there ever was.
One black screen later, Roxas is slumbering as if he's waiting for true love's first kiss. And I don't know if that means Shion or Axel. I guess that's really left up to your interpretation. Let me know who has your vote in the comment section below and why. They don't do a great job at explaining a lot of the plot, as it deeply ties into the first 2 games. It's almost like it only exists to bridge the games together and potentially fill in any gaps and plot holes along the way. I mean, one minute you're talking to Xemnas, next minute, boom, unconscious. And they're discussing Xion taking your place. It's day 49 and Xion visits her unconscious friend, giving him seashells from a world that she's recently visited, thus adding to a collection he never started nor probably wanted. Thanks. Thank you for that. The slumbering Roxas sees images of Sora in his sleeping chamber. Day 50, Roxas finally wakes up from his sudden coma and heads to the top of the clock tower because what the hell? You know, after one near life-ending experience, why not just head dick first back into the danger zone? Screw it! It's there he's joined by Xion, who gives him another seashell. Roxas closes his eyes and puts his ear to the shell before getting brief visions of Sora and Kairi on Destiny Islands. On day 71, Roxas reunites with who he thought to be dead, Axel. And apparently since the annihilation of his colleagues, he's not reported back to the organization. They spend their time together eating ice cream and pointing out all the holes in the plot.
You had me worried.
Worry? We nobodies don't have the hearts to worry, you know? I guess I just needed a little time to sort out my feelings, you know?
I thought you didn't have a heart.
And hey, that's my job. Thanks. On day 72, Axel reports back to the organization where he and Syax discuss Naminé's sudden disappearance and the missing sleeping chambers. Syax, who is clearly the nobody of that one dude from Lord of the Rings, don't know the character's name, just thought of it. Syax, maybe giving off a little bit too much information, explains that he sent the organization members that were quote-unquote getting in the way to Castle Oblivion to meet their oblivion. And Axel, having been sent there himself, is a bit taken back by that statement.
I moved things along just the way you wanted. At least for now. You're more cheerful.
I was thinking the same about you.
You must have rubbed off on me.
No, please don't. No, we're not doing this bit again. Nope. Harped on it too much before, not going back. Roxas looks to his side, realizing Xion's been gone for a while, and gets concerned. On day 74, Xion makes her triumphant return and almost immediately turns into a damsel in distress. She seems troubled, nervous, and inconsistent. No, I mean really inconsistent. Look at this. I'm not editing that weird either. Hood on, hood off. Hood off, hood on. Xion confesses that she's no longer able to use the Keyblade, and without it, while she still can defeat Heartless, she can't do it properly, meaning their hearts won't return to Kingdom Hearts, they'll instead just respawn somewhere else. Without the Keyblade, she's useless, and will probably be turned into a Dusk, which apparently you can do, I guess? Axel, being the more mature, I mean literally, what's he doing hanging out with these kids? Axel comes up with an idea, telling Xion to make sure that she has missions with Roxas. This way he can do all the work, and nobody would be none the wiser. The downside is that he'd need to collect twice as many hearts to make this work. They finish their ice cream, which apparently is a big part of this movie game, and Axel sends Xion a real-life friend request.
Friends need to lean on each other every now and then. Ain't that right, Roxas?
We're friends. Thank you, Roxas. Axel?
Day 75, something Agrabah, and then Roxas and the Scooby Gang discuss best friends, with some more cheesy and lame Kingdom Hearts dialogue added in. Day 94, the organization stand outside their castle and gaze into the giant heart-shaped moon in the sky. Kingdom Hearts. There it is, Kingdom Hearts, the series namesake, and it only took us 3.5 games to get a glimpse of it. Good, just move on.
But what is Kingdom Hearts?
It's the gathering place of hearts, isn't it?
Shining down upon us is the crystallization of all hearts. Kingdom Hearts.
It's where all the hearts wind up after they're released by you. When we gather enough, we might finally get hearts of our own.
Is Kingdom Hearts really that important?
Did you get any of that? Good. At least one of us did. Day 95, and big shock, the three sit on top of the clock tower and eat ice cream. You know, I'm starting to feel like I'm watching an animated version of That 70s Show. The clock tower being Foreman's basement and the ice cream being, well, you know what. They discuss what it means to actually be a nobody, but still somehow being a somebody, and not existing while also actually existing. Axel exclaims that unlike Heartless, nobodies have memories of their past selves, which in Roxas's case doesn't seem to be the case. or Xion, for that matter, either. Elsewhere in Twilight Town, outside the abandoned mansion, it seems that two familiar faces, or more accurately, the backs of heads, have made their way into this story. On day 96, Saïx informs Xion that she can no longer go on missions with Roxas, and Roxas, in response, lends his Keyblade to her. Which you can do now, I guess. Couldn't do that before. After completing her mission, she gives Roxas his Keyblade back, and finds strength within herself to summon her own. Oh good, that's been wrapped up already. Afterward, they head back to the top of the clock tower, and wow! I thought Castle Oblivion was repetitive. They head back to the top of the clock tower, where they meet Axel. Xion thanks the two for helping her and buys the gang sea salt ice creams, which, by the way, sounds disgusting. I don't want to taste a sea salt anything, alright? Let alone ice cream. That's like putting pineapple on pizza or making mint chocolates. It's blasphemous, and you should be ashamed of yourself.
As long as we keep each other in our thoughts, none of us will ever have to be apart. Got it memorized?
Shut up!
Day 117, and Saïx approaches Axel asking him about Xion, to which he gives no real answer. Saïx informs him that he'll be working with Xion, and that relatively soon he'll be summoned back to Castle Oblivion to look for the sleeping chambers within it. He also mentions that Xion and Naminé were both born from the castle walls. But Saïx, same as before, isn't actually speaking for Xemnas. He's speaking on his own behalf, so this way he could learn of his superior's true agenda. As you can see, there's a lot of deceit and betrayal in the organization. Hope they at least have benefits. Poor guys are so broke Axel actually had to have a kid pay for his ice cream.
Xemnas has an agenda that he hasn't told to anybody.
Later on, Xion and Axel share ice cream. And seriously, if all you're gonna do is sit around and eat ice cream by day 258, I better see some serious weight gain. This is bullshit. During their hangout sesh, Xion decides to drop some foreshadowing.
When I sit here and talk with you guys, I get the strangest feeling that a long time ago, I used to watch the sunset with somebody else.
After 118 days, Roxas finally gets a day off. And thank God, because this is getting close to bordering on slave labor, alright? He spends his day on top of the clock tower. Of course he does!
I knew you'd be here.
Watching other kids his age play. Axel and Roxas discuss normal things. And being that this is Kingdom Hearts, they seem a lot more abnormal for this world. They talk about human friendship and homework. That's what I play Kingdom Hearts for. Talks of homework.
Hey guys, how did I know you'd be here?
They're later joined by Xion, and the three share some laughs before Axel tells them that he'll be away for a few days on a recon mission. And hold up, I feel like I just had a brain tumor for breakfast. What in the hell is going on here? Do I have deja vu? Because, correct me if I'm wrong, but is this whole movie game, thing, whatever it is, centered around minor information in text followed by three nobodies in hoods sitting atop a clock tower over a train station eating ice cream? Because if it is, why am I watching this? Look, I get it, alright? It's an interesting backdrop, and it helps set the scene. But once, twice, 3 times at most, should this be a thing? This is way too much. Alright, I'm not even playing this game, but just watching it as a movie, I'm incredibly fatigued. I don't know if I can continue. Can we at least get a change of scenery, a different setting, or a plot that's worth a goddamn? What did I do? Alright, I feel like I'm being punished for something in the most mundane way possible. Forget Geely, you really want to psychologically torture somebody, you sit them down and you show them this. Later, back at the organization's second castle, Saïx meets up with Axel, telling him, well, actually warning him that he's allowing himself to get too close to Roxas and Xion. And what do you even mean, Saïx? What are you talking about? You're nobodies. You have no hearts, no feelings, and by your own admission, you shouldn't even exist. Why is this non-friendship a threat to you? Why do you even care? Just mind your own business, you blue-haired freak. It's day 149. Axel and Roxas sit above the Twilight Town train station while Xion sobs to herself, remembering a battle she had with another hooded individual, who is very obviously Riku. Sorry to spoil it for you guys, but I mean, come on, look at that hair. It was either him or Xemnas. Or that guy from Xenosaga, but I don't think it's him. The following day, we get the rest of her flashback. And oh Hey, it's Riku! Who knew? And apparently, since the last time we've seen him, he's heavily gotten into the 50 Shades of Grey movies. I would say more, but I don't want to kink shame. This is not cool. Back at the castle, Roxas overhears Sayax dismissing Xion, calling her a mistake. And for once I agree with him. Hood on, hood off, in between shots, she is a mistake. But hey, at least she's consistently inconsistent. We get this scene, which I'm tired of talking about. It's basically the same thing all over again. Just time again, slightly different dialogue. We get it. The kid wants a heart. He doesn't have one. It's sad. But have you ever stopped to think of just how lucky you are? Most people can't even live without hearts. They die. Oh, I'm sorry. They disappear. So you just think of that. All right? Think about that. Day 151, Ice Cream Clock Tower. Oh gee, I wonder where Axel is. But Xion has other things on her mind. Like the rest of the flashback. Riku, working his brand new blind gimmick, removes his bandage to look upon her with his own eyes. And wow, this is just like the time I found out wrestling was fake.
Wrestling's not fake!
Riku, if you can see just fine, right? If you could see, why blind yourself? Why make it harder on you than it actually has to be? If you wanted to challenge yourself, then restart the game on proud mode. Or is it that you just wanted to be on that Book of Eli flow? He seems startled at the sight of her, asking her who she is and why she looks the way she does. Riku calls Xion's blade a sham and tells her to find a new group of friends. He takes his leave while Xion is left making this sound. And yup, I can totally see it now. You're definitely not human. Cut back to present time, and Roxas and Xion talk about not having hearts of their own. And Xion, more specifically, talks about her confusion in why she blindly follows the organization.
Just another way of saying that I'm a mistake?
You're not a mistake?
Yeah, Xion, you're not a mistake. But this game is. Mini cutscene of Sora. Roxas goes to a few more worlds, learns a few more lessons, and eats ice cream alone in Xion's absence. Day 172, Roxas finds out that Xion fell into a deep slumber and rushes to visit his comatose friends. See guys, this is why child labor is illegal. These poor kids have been worked into a coma. And it's not even the first time this year that a kid's been put in one under their care. Boycott them. Roxas puts a seashell at her side, just as she had done for him. Meanwhile, Axel presses Sayax on the Xion issue. Axel eventually shares Sayax's words and his own lies as per this text tells me. Day 192. Xion is woken up after dreaming of Sora and Kairi's time at Hollow Bastion. And the first thing she sees is a bed full of seashells. Just what you want. Just what you want. Bunch of fish-smelling seashells. Probably still wet. Corner of your bed. Probably filled with sand still, too.
I don't like sand.
How long was I asleep?
About 20 days. Yeah. You were sleeping so much that me and Axel were getting worried.
Whoa, I'm sorry. 20 days? No. You don't get worried when your friend is asleep for 20 days. You call the morgue.
Don't you have work today?
I'm about to head out.
I'd like to tag along.
But don't you need some more rest?
No, you walking blonde joke. She just woke up from a 20-day nap. I think she's gotten more than enough sleep. Xion tags along on Roxas' mission with Axel. And afterward, as they're headed to where else but the clock tower, Xion collapses and remembers a game that was far more superior to this one. A Heartless appears and a battle occurs. Afterward, they bring their fallen friend back to the castle, where they're met by salty Sayax.
That didn't take long. Did it break again?
She's not an it!
Keep your mouth shut.
They exit, leaving Sayax to silently question Axel, to himself. Aloud. Alright. Roxas and Axel bring Xion back to her bed, where Axel proclaims that the two of them are his best friends. And this somehow prompts Xion to wake back up. True love's first kiss my ass! I knew Prince Philip was just a PG date rapist. Elsewhere, Naminé, alone in silence, draws a picture of Roxas, Axel, and Xion. Day 194. Axel does some thorough research, finding a report by Vexen entitled The Truth About Naminé. And apparently, the people in this world, despite speaking English, or Japanese depending on where you're playing this, write in a completely different block-formed language. And then Roxas teaches Axel to fly in Neverland. But no, don't animate that. You don't need that. Give us another 20 scenes of people eating ice cream on top of a clock. Day 224. Naminé is watching over Sora when she's approached by discount Count Dooku, constant Christopher Lee impersonator, Diz. Except this time, he's actually played by Christopher Lee. So I'll shut up now.
A nobody.
She expresses her concern for Sora and his memories. And her.
She?
Whomever her is.
What if he needs those memories in order to wake up?
You're a witch who has power over Sora's memories. And those connected to him.
Back on top of the watchtower again? Are you kidding me? Sorry. Back on top of the watchtower again?
You've been to Castle Oblivion, right? What is it like?
Just an organization research facility.
Seems everyone gets sent there all the time.
They never send me or Roxas.
He's on to us.
Xion stands up, immediately gets dizzy, and falls off the side of it. Oh, gee, I guess taking the girl who just came out of a 20-day coma, who keeps constantly fainting, several stories high on top of a watchtower with a short ledge wasn't such a good idea. Go figure. Luckily, Axel gives her a hand. Literally. It's then they decide...
On our next day off, let's all go to the beach, huh? We should go someplace different for a change.
Yes, please, for the love of God, anywhere else. Anywhere would be better than this. Xion gets depressed, decides not to eat ice cream, and finds Saïx's information regarding Castle Oblivion. Of course, don't animate that, though, because, you know, none of that seems real gripping or important. But, you know, animate the future scenes that are still going to take place on top of the goddamn watchtower. Day 255. The organization meet with Saïx, telling leader Xemnas that he sent Axel to Castle Oblivion to clear out its facilities. Naminé is deemed missing, and Xion is dubbed a problem for having gone through the organization's database. And you know what? I don't blame him. I'd be troubled too. I mean, 12 dudes barely ever around any women living together. There's definitely got to be some deranged fetishy type shit on there. And guys, just clear cookies. It's fine.
Little Poppet is turning into a problem.
No matter what unfolds, our plans remain unchanged. Axel, Roxas, and Xion will play the respective roles that Kingdom Hearts has given them.
Yes, whatever they may be. At that very point in time, Xion enters Castle Oblivion, thus triggering yet another flashback.
My head hurts.
This is the last you'll ever see of these walls.
Axel appears and tries to help his new friend, but she takes exception to his words as she wants to learn more about where she came from. Xion begs Axel to help her with her scattered memories.
Please, Axel. You've got to help me. I need to know who I am.
Noting that she remembers a bit from her being human, and that he is part of some of those memories. She heads up to the next floor against Axel's wishes, and after a bright flash, we move on to the next scene. I guess it's time to go back to the clock tower, I guess. And oh, come on! I said that as a joke! No! What happened to that beach thing you guys were going to try out? Did you even go? Or were you just saying that to tease me? Back at the clock tower, we're all caught up now.
Today makes 255.
We're back at the start of the game. In Castle Oblivion, Xion is looking into a crystal ball, I guess. I guess Naminé really is a witch. And through so, she learns of her past and who she was. We don't, but I guess it's a good thing she does. The next day, Xemnas gathers the organization in order to discuss Xion's disappearance. And he forbids anyone from pursuing her. Yeah, don't bother editing that, though, because we need more space for the top of Twilight Town cutscenes. Day 276 opens up with the first scene from the first game. Then cutting to Roxas walking through Destiny Islands to find yet another seashell. It's then he catches sight of a hooded figure, whom he presumes to be Xion, only to find out it's actually Zexion, who has a surprisingly similar frame. Must be from all those years of wearing skinny jeans. He appears to be talking to Riku, who stands behind him, and oh god, what's going on now? Okay, I love this series. I love this series. I hate this game, but I love this series. And even I am having a hard time figuring out what... you know what? You remember in Chain of Memories when I said that it was on some Inception type shit? Well, this is Inception meets Memento meets future Christopher Nolan project. I mean, look at this. First it's Xion, then it's Zexion, and then Roxas turns into Xion, and Xion turns into Riku, and Riku turns into Sora. Fade to black before we're shown Riku in present time holding Xion in his arms as she questions her own existence. Reminiscent of what this game is making me do right now. Fade to white, present-day Riku meets with Namine, where Namine expresses her concern. You see, Roxas is actually Sora's nobody, made when Sora sacrificed himself at Hollow Bastion in the first game. And Xion, who was mysteriously made at the same time, is absorbing Sora's memories. And now both of them contain scattered fragments of his memory, and are in the process of fighting to become real people on their own.
Sora's nobody, and the one that's absorbing his memory. Unfortunately, the only real solution is for them both to go away.
Is Namine putting out a hit on organization members? What kind of game am I playing here?
I'm afraid there's no other way.
E for everyone? I think not. Also, we finally have a reason as to why she switches back and forth in between takes.
But now, there is a face that is clearly visible. I think that's proof that she has entered Sora's memories.
I guess. Fade to white again to find Roxas, Axel, and Xion sitting at Destiny Island similarly to how Sora, Riku, and Kairi used to. Xion expresses her own concerns about not being real.
I want to be with you two.
Then come back with us.
What would it take for me to be like you?
And fast forward to present day as Roxas once again meets up with Axel at the top of the clock tower. And if you're tired of hearing that, believe me, I'm tired of saying it. I know that this review has gotten a little bit repetitive, but that's only because this game, movie, video, game, not game thing, is that repetitive.
I went to the beach today, and there was this girl who looked kind of like Xion.
Is he talking about Zexion? He doesn't even look like a girl. If Zexion confused him, could you imagine the first time he met Marluxia? 'Cause I know what confused me.
I'm not even sure today's mission really happened.
You and me both.
Anyway, they decide to disobey the organization's orders because, I mean, screw it, everyone else is, and they go to look for Xion. They spend their free time searching for their missing friend. On day 296, Roxas tells Axel he'd like to check Castle Oblivion for her. Axel remarks that there's nothing there, but also lets slip that Xion's from the castle. Day 297, the two enter Castle Oblivion, and much like Xion, Roxas' head immediately starts to hurt. He falls to his knees in pain, and Axel, concerned for his friend, gets him out of there, and back to Twilight Town.
Giving up already? I thought you were stronger than that.
Roxas asks to go back, but Axel refuses, telling him to take it easy. Just then, two hooded figures appear, one of which being Xion.
Xion! Wait! Hey! Roxas, wait!
And Roxas chases after them, with Axel chasing after Roxas. But this only leads them to a dead end. The following day, Roxas in Twilight Town, for reasons not specified, comes across Xion once more. Roxas tries to reason with her, but she ends up raising her Keyblade to him in defiance. That's when Axel, who's been eavesdropping this entire time from afar, intervenes, preventing her attack. Roxas pleads with the two to stop fighting, distracting Xion and allowing Axel to give her the Vulcan neck pinch and snatch her up. Axel takes her back to the organization's main castle, handing over to Sayax.
If you could save one of them, why would you choose the puppet? Which would you rather suffer the loss of? Some make-believe friendship or a real one? There's simply too much on the line. Lee.
Roxas confronts Xemnas in the round room, questioning him on what happened to Xion, who only really responds that she needs to rest. Roxas remembers Xemnas mentioning the name Sora to him and asks who it is.
He is what makes you and Xion a part of each other's lives.
Xemnas promises Roxas that Xion will be back on duty again tomorrow. Roxas exits, giving Axel the cold shoulder on his way out.
Are you certain we've taken suitable measures with Xion and Roxas?
Xion was affected by Roxas, just as we had anticipated. Through Roxas, Sora himself began to shape it into her. Xion is keeping Sora's memories trapped. Keeping her close to Roxas will ultimately prevent Sora from ever waking.
You all caught up? Cool.
Is Axel coming today?
How could that jerk attack you like that?
That jerk? Do you mean Axel? He's your best friend.
He's your best friend.
Axel explains that Xian's strength comes from Roxas, also meaning that Roxas is becoming weaker as a result.
You're a replica whose original purpose was to copy Roxas's powers.
She asks for advice, but Axel instead tells her that she needs to think for herself, while Xigbar listens on. Day 322. The organization meets in the round room to discuss Roxas and Xian's connection to Sora.
The puppet is the more worthy vessel. Both of them have connections to Sora.
A few days later, we get the rest of that confusing flashback of Riku and Xian on Destiny Islands. Riku explains that Xian is a puppet made by the organization. He also goes into detail about how she harnesses Roxas's power and Sora's memories, both at the expense of their original owners. Xian takes this information surprisingly well and shows remorse for her existence, though Riku assures her he doesn't hate her. While Xian does feel sympathy for Sora, she tells Riku that she can't go with him, because her friends need her. BDSM Riku responds by telling Xian to think about where she belongs, letting her decide for herself. And then somehow later on, Roxas fights a Heartless, only to realize via Axel that it's actually Xian who believes that she's fighting a Heartless. But you know what, by all means, don't bother animating that. That seems like it would take too much time. But you know what they do bother animating? Directly after this? That's right, another scene of Axel, Roxas, and Xian eating ice cream on the top of the tower in Twilight Town.
Brain freeze.
Wow, game. What incredible range you have.
It's been a while since we all hung out like this, hasn't it?
Not nearly long enough. They watch the sunset and discuss ice cream sticks. I kid you not. They've glossed over so many important plot details so they could really make sure that they had enough room for what essentially boils down to a 1990s Coke bottle cap competition, except this time with ice cream. Xian wishes things could stay this way forever, to which Roxas responds that they should all run away together to make sure of it.
As long as we keep each other in our thoughts, we'll never be apart, right? We've got it memorized, Axel.
Good.
Meanwhile, Diz gives his assessment of the plot in this game.
It appears we've come to a standstill.
He tells Riku to commence with the hit. Day 353, and thank God, we're almost done with this game movie. You have no idea how long this has taken to put together. A lot longer than I'd like to admit. Sayax approaches Axel, telling him to stop meddling, and that the organization is apparently looking to cut costs, as they only need either Roxas or Xian, but not both of them.
Well, gentlemen, I've never seen two people share a resume before.
Xian and Axel are sent on a mission with Xigbar, but as per the norm in Organization 13, drama ensues. Xigbar glares at Xian, but can only see what appears to be Roxas. Spoiler alert, it's not, but don't worry guys, we're gonna get there, alright? I promise you, we'll get to it.
Of all the faces, why do I look at her and see yours? Why is it that you always have to glare at me like that?
Xian knocks out the organization higher up before apologizing to Axel. She pleads with him to let her go, revealing her face to him, but not the player. Axel gives her the okay, and with a thank you, she takes her leave. Roxas finds Axel and Xigbar chatting with Sayak, who is more than just a little uneased with Xian's disappearance. As am I, now that this is the second or third time this is happening.
Xion is like a mirror that reflects you.
You're not making any sense.
Neither is the plot or the remaster, for that matter.
Xion is a puppet created to duplicate your powers.
Xion's a person, not a puppet.
Xion is like a mirror that reflects you. And when I looked in the mirror, it wasn't you I saw. It was only a matter of time before someone broke the mirror.
You mean they have to destroy her?
If somebody doesn't, then you won't be you anymore.
Did you catch all that? Did you get it? You got it? Okay. You know, I tell you, this series would be so much easier to follow if they didn't just make up the rules as they went along, you know? Just keep adding more, just keep making this overly complicated. That means it's deep, right? No. It means it's annoying. Roxas is either too immature, too overwhelmed, or too busy to sit through a 40-minute analysis of this low point in this series. exits before Axel can finish his Nobodies and Replicas 101 course. Outside of Beast Castle, Xion meets with Riku, telling him that she's made her decision. And come to think of it, so have I. I've made my decision. I've decided I hate this movie game. Riku tells Xion to go to Twilight Town and find Naminé. Day 354. The organization have a meeting.
Xion has disappeared yet again.
And it's here we learn just how uninformed some of its members are.
It, not she, is a replica. Merely a puppet.
A puppet? What does that mean exactly?
A puppet is a puppet.
That makes sense to me.
Not only did a lot of them not know Xion was a replica, but they also had no idea what a replica was. You know, despite its obvious name. And thankfully we have Xemnas here to fill us in with his exposition, you know, just to keep us all up to date with the plot.
The purpose was to take a piece of the Keyblade wielder's memory and copy it, thus making his powers our own.
And hold up! I got some questions again. 1, why would you hide this great master plan of yours from your own people? I mean, wouldn't it be more efficient if they'd all work together? You're Organization 13. I thought this was a team effort. 2, you're sharing this information with Roxas right there. Do you not think that learning that you're using him to harness Sora's power and that his best friend was a replica you made and are now set on destroying would potentially, I don't know, change his allegiance to you? Has that not run through your mind? Because I thought Nobodies just didn't have hearts. But apparently y'all don't have brains either. And 3, I don't even need a 3 because 1 and 2 are so bad. Xemnas explained Xion's origin, stating that she was made at Castle Oblivion, and Vexen's passing threw a wrench into their plans. Apparently, the replica was never supposed to have an identity of her own, but it formed that way over time.
No one at Castle Oblivion ever reported any instance where a replica formed its own identity. Do you concur, Axel?
Yeah, none. Oh, you know, except for that one of Riku that died gruesomely. That one was forming his own identity. Hell, come to think of it, I liked him a lot better than I like most of the people sitting in this room. And since Xion escaped on Axel's watch, he's tasked with bringing her back. And finally, someone who makes sense around here.
Just count the seats here. We have and always will be 13.
Roxas asks Axel if he has to do what Xemnas says, to which he answers yes. Otherwise, he'll be eradicated. His words, not mine. I mean, what happened to disappearing? You went from sounding like you were going to pull a rabbit out of a hat to straight up Holocaust, just like that. And look, it's the first Disney character fully animated here, only at the tail end of the game. Pun intended. He comes across a hooded Ansem, who apparently is Riku's kink partner as he has his blindfold. The safe word is darkness. Actually, no, it's Riku, who explains that he's trying to keep his own darkness in check. This darkness, I guess, somehow turns him from a boy in his later teens to a fully grown Billy Zane impersonator with a really bad spray-on tan and Comic-Con hair. The two discuss the organization's intentions, and both agree that they're trying to strip Sora of his memories piece by piece.
They have what's most precious to Sora, his memories of Kairi.
Riku informs Mickey that he needs to face one of the organization's members soon, and it's a fight he might not survive. And even if he does, it might be because he gave into darkness. He asks Mickey that, if that be the case, that he look over Sora, Donald, and Goofy and guide them to waking back up. Not wanting to give up on his friend, Mickey hesitantly promises. Day 355. Roxas stays up tossing and turning, probably from that really annoying inner monologue he's having right now. He questions his existence, while trying to drown out his own thoughts, and as somebody with anxiety, yeah buddy, I've been there. He questions Xion's existence, he questions Sora's identity, and he questions Axel's friendship. And I'm questioning why this review is still going on. He leaves his room and finds the nobody of Reno from Final Fantasy VII. I mean, come on, it's obvious. Questioning if he's known about Xion the whole time. To which Axel responds, not the whole time. When he's pressed on how long he's known...
I can't exactly remember when.
Didn't get it memorized, huh?
Oh!
The organization wanted me out of the picture. I guess it's 'cause Xion copied my powers and the Keyblade's powers, and they didn't need me anymore. I guess you felt the same way.
You're wrong there. You'll always be my best friend.
Best friends? are supposed to be honest with each other.
And why does this acting and plot amount to what I've seen on an episode of SpongeBob SquarePants?
Who am I, Axel?
Well, okay, I guess I never heard that on SpongeBob. Roxas begins to break the conditioning as he furiously interrogates Axel on who he truly is, how he joined the organization, and how he learned to use the Keyblade. Not getting the answers he wants, or any answers at all actually, Roxas takes off, leaving the castle and the organization behind.
If I can't get answers here, I'll get them somewhere else.
Axel makes a last-minute attempt to plead with his friend.
You can't turn on the organization. You get on their bad side and they'll destroy you.
No one would miss me.
That's not true. I would.
But it's to no avail. Day 356. Shion finally finds Naminé. She tells Naminé that she wants to go back to where she came from, but is told that if she returns her memories to Sora, she'll disappear, as she herself isn't a real person but someone who's bound to the memories of others. And not only will she disappear, but she'll be entirely forgotten by all those that knew her too. Surprisingly, Shion informs Naminé that she knows, and is ready to go.
What do you think I should do?
What do you want to do?
Will you please watch over Roxas once I'm gone?
And oh god, this is reverse rebirth all over again, isn't it? Guys, you can't do this. You can't keep throwing these gut-wrenching, heartbreaking moments in when you've given us no reason to believe that it's gonna happen. I mean, why do you do this, Square Enix? Why do you do this? Who hurt you? Just as Naminé is about to take Xion to see Sora, Diz interrupts, informing them that the organization is on their way.
This blasted puppet led them right to our doorstep.
Xion rushes to the front of the mansion to find Axel. She tells him that she's gonna go back to where she belongs, and Axel agrees, telling her that he's always thought that was the best thing to do. At the same time, he says something seems off about everything, and is hesitant to lose his friend. The two clash, and Axel is the victor, bringing Xion back to the organization yet again. But the fight takes a toll on Axel, causing him to eventually collapse. Day 357, and Xion's return nearly causes Roxas to fall off the top of the tower. And honestly, after sitting through all of this for as long as I have, I might be taking a dive off that thing myself. She hands him a sea salt ice cream, and when they're finished, she takes a stand and tells him that she's out of time.
You have poured so many memories into me that I feel like I'm about to overflow. This puppet will have to play her part. Look at me, Roxas. Who do you see? This is him. It's Sora.
What the fuck?
She pulls her hood over her face and steps off the clock tower, walking on air.
Now I'm about to blow my fucking brains out!
I'm not even gonna bother to question it at this point. Why do it? You know, why do it? Because at this point, I'm basically desensitized to it. It's just so much has gone on that I just don't get. You know what? Why try to catch up now? Xion tells Roxas that she has to make him a part of her too, and a fight occurs. But you know, don't bother animating that because, I don't know, it doesn't seem all that important. The fight ends with Xion, who now looks like herself again, beginning to fade away, with Roxas almost instantly forgetting her.
Who are you? Again, I feel like I'm forgetting something really important.
You'll be better off now.
Am I the one who did this to you?
No, it was my choice to go away now. I belong with Sora, and now I am going back to be with him.
And I'm not crying, you're crying, shut the fuck up! In her final moment, she asks Roxas to free the hearts that she collected for the organization before saying goodbye.
Goodbye, Roxas. I'm glad I got to meet you. Axel, too. You are both my best friends. Never forget. That's the truth.
In that very moment, something triggers a memory in Roxas. Remembering Xion, he says,
Xion! Who else will I have ice cream with?
And holy crap, priorities! Your best friend is dying. You know, you could find a new ice cream companion. As a matter of fact, you have one, Axel. He's the guy who gave you the ice cream to begin with. Roxas is left with tears in his eyes and a seashell in his hand. Elsewhere, Axel finds a note with a popsicle stick in it that reads winner, as he said earlier on the tower. He'd never got one before. So this means something. Day 358, the final day in the game, and I'm as excited to finish this review as you are to, finishing watching it. It's exhausting. I understand. On the final day of the game, the rest of the Kingdom Hearts secret ending takes place, with Riku and Roxas both vanquishing Heartless before turning the Keyblades in on each other. Roxas is on his way to attempt to set Kingdom Hearts free, thinking it will somehow release Xion. And Riku is dead set on taking Roxas back to Naminé to give Sora the rest of his memories. The battle commences, into a black screen. And when we tune back in as if we were watching a wrestling show on commercial break, we see Roxas has the upper hand. He goes for the final blow, but Riku counters it, knocking him out. A short memory of Xion gives Roxas the strength to get back up, take Riku's Keyblade, and continue the fight. Riku dodges each and every attack before calling out to Sora, with Roxas responding naturally. Roxas gets the upper hand once more, causing Riku to accept darkness and take on the appearance and powers of Ansem in order to capture him. And if Xion's death and the fact that she won't even be missed or mourned because no one remembers her isn't enough for you, we're also treated to this shot of her disappearing from Roxas's memories. Diz meets up with the hooded Riku, who for all intents and purposes doesn't sound like he can change his appearance back, meaning he might be stuck like this for the rest of his life. Xion speaks to Roxas one last time, assuring him that their memories together will always be inside Sora, even if she ceased to exist. And just when I think this is over, day 359...
Oh, no, don't do me like this. Please, just don't do me like this.
Day 359 actually ends the game, exactly where Kingdom Hearts 2 picks it back up. Roxas waking up and running through Twilight Town. A little confusing from everything we've just seen, but rest assured, if you haven't played the game, my Kingdom Hearts 2 review will clear it all up, and it will just, have you asking even more questions, so... I know I did this review a little differently than most of my others. I just wanted to give you guys a feel for how monotonous, repetitive, and just overall tedious this comes off in movie form. It was a chore to watch. The sad thing is, when recreating this game, they left out a lot from its source. A lot of the scenes that they basically skip past with text don't do them any justice. And as a result of that, you miss out on the scenes that help decipher and characterize each organization member. You'll lose the opportunity of seeing the organization work together as a cohesive, if not sometimes self-conflicting unit, and all things Disney-related are ignored in the favor for a bunch of cutscenes set in the same location, usually having the same conversation, just albeit slightly altered. This is so far the worst experience I had when playing or watching something Kingdom Hearts related. The movie took me 3 days to sit through, and just to watch because of how uninspired it was and how uninterested I was. While I do like seeing the bond between Axel, Roxas, and Xion, I think more of the scenes from the original game were needed to not only add variety for your viewing experience, but to also get a deeper feel for the larger story at hand and the characters within that story. So much of what is surprisingly integral to the plot is just, again, glossed over. And honestly, it halts the game. And honestly, it takes a toll on the plot because you're only getting half the story, if even that. While I don't really care for this remaster and how they went about it, I do enjoy some of the story elements. I like Xion, and her inclusion didn't seem as tacked on as I first imagined. Which is something I can't say for every creator, adding characters into their franchise last minute. I'm looking at you, Butch. The bond between the main 3 characters really works and feels legitimate. But I could have done with 5 or 6 less scenes on the clock tower, just... Why do it? There's other places. There's other worlds. You could have done that anywhere. Much like Chain of Memories, I'm glad that I sat through this, but I can't imagine myself ever doing it again. Which is really a shame because it's not like this is without its memorable scenes. They're just a little too far and few between. So with that being said, I'm the Social Injustice Warrior V Infuso, and if you like the words that came out of my mouth hole and you too want to become a VTard, don't forget to like and subscribe. There's plenty more where this video came from. Follow me on Twitter because, hell, why not? It's not considered stalking if it's on the internet, am I right? And don't forget to join the Discord. I don't have anything catchy to add to that, but just join it. Just go do it. And if you have a free moment of time and a free dollar to spare, then head over to my Patreon, where for just $1, you too could help keep this boat afloat. And if you don't have that dollar, but you do have a free moment of time, then hit the share button. It will help me out tremendously.
The V-tart, oh.